New Orleans is that rare place where you can order a cocktail to go, turn a corner and be swept along in a street parade. Many of the city is below the waterline, and New Orleans' darkest hour was broadcast to the world during Hurricane Katrina. The cradle of jazz music, New Orleans is a little out of step with the United States regarding dining, architecture, and day-to-day living. It's a city of Creole cottages, palatial townhouses, elegant iron balconies, and shaded courtyards. Today we share the top 10 best things to do in New Orleans so you can plan a trip to New Orleans, Louisiana. We share the most beautiful place in New Orleans and the best attractions and popular places in New Orleans. Starting with number 10, Jackson Square. Once a military parade ground at the very center of the city, Jackson Square was first laid out in the 1720s in the style of Place de Vosges in Paris. In grand townhouses on the square's margins are restaurants, galleries, and shops, while the square is swarmed by artists selling their wares and producing portraits in a few minutes flat. If there's a TV show or movie set in New Orleans, you can bet that Jackson Square will appear. At number 9 is the St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 tour. The oldest and most storied of New Orleans' many cemeteries, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is a Roman Catholic burial place a block west of the French Quarter. It opened in 1789 during the city's redesign following the Great Fire of 1788. Cemeteries need to be above ground in a city partially below water level using decorative vaults. At St. Louis No. 1, these are in various states of repair, but all are handsome and crackling with atmosphere. At number 8, City Park. The 6th largest urban park in America is on swampland that French colonists drained in the early 19th century. At the time, this space was known as Dueling Oaks, where men would come to settle disputes away from the city. The park was landscaped in the 1850s and held the world's largest collection of mature oaks, with some specimens more than 600 years old. In true Louisiana style, these are dripping with Spanish moss and provide lots of shade for jogging, cycling, and picnics. The New Orleans Museum of Art and the Carousel Gardens amusement park are within the park's boundaries, based around a gorgeous vintage carousel. At number 7, Royal Street. Parallel to Bourbon Street as it cuts through the French Quarter, Royal Street is a quieter, more sophisticated sibling. Along 13 blocks, there's a postcard-worthy scene of Creole townhouses with decorative wrought iron balconies. Plenty is private homes, but there are alluring boutiques, galleries, cafes, antique shops, and artist studios on many ground floors. There's music, too, from street buskers and no shortage of places to eat at restaurants sequestered in courtyards. The 3 blocks between St. Louis and St. and streets are closed to traffic and become a pedestrian zone every day from 11 to 1600 hours, and there's no better time to pay a visit and to take in some live music on the street. At number 6 in our list, Alley Plantation. The name of this sugarcane plantation on the west bank of the Mississippi in St. James Parish comes from the graceful 240-meter alley of southern live oaks running from the riverside to the Greek Revival House. These were planted in the early 1700s, a good century before the house was built, and their twisting branches form a beautiful shade canopy. The house went up in 1837 and had an arcade with 28 imposing Doric columns mirroring the 28 oaks in the alley. Take a couple of hours to tour the landscape and get in touch with the lives and routines of enslaved women and children kept at Oak Alley. At number 5, National World War II Museum. These landing crafts were pivotal to amphibious invasions like Normandy in 1944, so New Orleans' superb National World War II Museum opened on D-Day's 56th anniversary on June 6, 2000. As you enter, you'll be given a dog tag, which you can scan at stations around the museum for compelling personal profiles. Road to Tokyo deals with the war in the Pacific, from Pearl Harbor to Tokyo, giving a sense of the extreme conditions American forces faced. At the same time, Road to Berlin transports you to Europe through richly designed galleries using lots of footage, realistic soundscapes, and many artifacts. At number 4, New Orleans Museum of Art. In 1912, the sugar broker and art collector Isaac Delgado left New Orleans a sizable grant to establish the New Orleans Museum of Art. The main building went up soon after, to a design partly by Benjamin Morgan Harrod, New Orleans's former chief engineer, while new wings and expansions followed in the early 1970s and 90s. The collection is huge, with more than 40,000 pieces from the Italian Renaissance to today. There's much of 19th and early 20th century French art to get stuck into by Rodin, Matisse, Renoir, Monet, Gauguin, and Braque. At number 3 in our list, Audubon Aquarium of the Americas. By the Mississippi on the edge of the French Quarter, the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas has tanks mimicking habitats across North, South and Central America. The striking, 5-meter Gulf of Mexico exhibit holds stingrays, sharks, and sea turtles. At the same time, the Mississippi River Gallery has a mixture of environments holding owls, leucistic white alligators, paddlefish, and catfish. The Amazon exhibit is a high point in a balmy greenhouse planted with rainforest where you'll happen upon piranhas, an anaconda, and freshwater stingrays. At number 2, Superdome. A modernist icon for New Orleans, the Superdome took shape during the early 1970s and is the home stadium of the New Orleans Saints. With a diameter of 210 meters, this is officially the largest domed structure in the world. During Katrina, the Superdome famously gave refuge to thousands of people escaping the hurricane and floodwater, and images of the damaged dome became a symbol of the disaster. There have been happier days since then, like in 2010 when the Saints ended a 43-year wait for the Super Bowl. In a nation of outsized sporting venues, this 73,000 capacity monster is extraordinary. Check out the number 1 places in our list, Woldenberg Park. Arcing around the east bank of the Mississippi opposite Algiers Point is a riverside park laid out in the 1980s and 90s on the site of former wharves and warehouses. Woldenberg Park fronts the French Quarter and is bordered to the south by the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas and the Entergy Giant Screen Theater. The main stages are put up in Woldenberg Park during the French Quarter Festival in early April. You can stroll along the riverside path, catch steamboats, take a picnic and savor the lush landscaping and profuse public art. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite thing to do in New Orleans? Is there something we missed? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to Greenable if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.